And we're back. Welcome. This is Menlo Talk on Public Access, the first of a long line, I hope, of shows produced by Menlo College students. And I am your host, Marlyn Johnson, Jr. Basically, it is a privilege to introduce the next man coming here to join me on the show. This is Mr. Casey Wilms, which is a fine young film producer. He is the maker of a very insightful and very controversial film that we're going to be watching. Casey, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm 21 years old and I'm a student at Menlo College.
Majoring in film production, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. Could you give us a little insight on the film that we're about to watch?
It's basically a documentary of the January 18th protest in San Francisco, where there were about 250,000 people protesting the actions of this of our government and of the British government trying to go to war with Iraq.
Fascinating. Yes. I've got to ask you, what was the inspiration for the production of this film?
Well, basically, I just feel that people need to speak up more often. If you look at the history of the last 40 years, basically every powerful voice of dissent in the United States, Martin Luther King, John Lennon, has seen similar fates. So at this time of chaos, more and more people need to speak their opinions and need to make their voices felt.
Quickly before we go to your incredible video, I've got to ask you, what were your inspirations? What was your motivation?
I would say Stanley Kubrick is my inspiration for film, and I've just been doing it since I was 11 or 12, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint.
Great. Well, I just can't wait any longer. Let's go ahead and let's go straight to the film produced by Casey Wilms, which is an incredible documentary, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Let's watch.
Is this the enemy here?
You're the enemy.
You're the enemy.
You're the enemy. Who's bringing down death and destruction on yourself?
What are you doing?
We need the oil. We're gonna get the oil.
I don't want the oil.
I want the oil.
What brought you here to San Francisco today?
I came up here from San Diego to San Francisco by word of mouth. I heard there was an anti-war rally going on, so I grabbed the first bus out of San Diego to come down here and show my support.
What do you think about this pro-war group with signs like Fry Mamiya and Leftists Hate America? Do you think that's a general consensus in the country, or do you think that's a handful of just simple-minded radicals?
If you take a look at the age of all the people that are standing up there,
Rich, middle-aged
none
white
of
men.
them are eligible to go into the military. That's why they have no fear of going to war. Most of those people that are up there don't even have sons or daughters. They're in the age to be in the military. So they have no realization of what it means, you know, or how scary and frightening that war really is.
Have you, or are you currently enrolled in the military?
I am now out of the military with an honorable discharge. If this country goes to war, it's because somebody messed up in their job. We need to use the power of speech.
problem. It's just all these people keep calling this place America, and it's the United States.
What's the
of
difference
America.
between the U.S. and America?
What's the difference between the U.S.? It's a separate country. What about America, Mexico? I'm from Mexico, and I'm an American. My friends are from Canada. They're Americans, you know? U.S. is America. It's not the West Coast. It's not the continent. You know, it's a few little greedy warmongers in office. They all got money down there. The Bush Corporation's taking all that oil in Kuwait. You know what they gave George Bush for winning the war? Oil. They gave him oil wells. George W. Sr., George Sr., I should say.
Oil wells in Texas? Or
in Kuwait.
In Kuwait.
He's got oil in Kuwait now. You know, it wasn't his money that fought that war. It was our money, my money as a taxpayer, you know? And these poor people, I support our troops, but I don't support them fighting a war for Exxon, a war for oil, or a war for corporations. You know, it's America. It's owned by the automakers and stuff like that. And it's sad. You know, I ride my bike. I see homeless people all over.
do you ride your
the place.
bike for the specific reason of not just protesting against cars, but because it's a better energy source?
Yeah. Well, it's a better energy source, and plus I don't have a job. Thank you, George W. You know, I lost my job.
Where were you working before?
Computers, you know, the .bomb, .gone. So, you know, these guys, they have a right to protest, and I support that right for them to protest. But the problem is they think they're a little misled. You know, they think we have to go to war, and we don't.
What should we do to avert war?
Not go. What war? We're the aggressors. The United States is the aggressor. You know, I mean, what's he doing over there? You know, oh, gee, ooh, he pointed a missile at our, you know, $26 billion jets. I mean, please.
Do you think at this point, war might be inevitable?
Well, yeah, you know why? Because America has so much money, because corporate America has so much to gain. I hope the coalition falls apart. I think the rest of the world is figuring it out. This is a one-man war, George W.'s war. And he's bought and sold all of us. Thank you very much.
God says not to kill, and God says not to destroy. And by the American government going over there dropping bombs on the poor innocent people, they're killing innocent people.
So you want peace in Iraq?
I know. I want peace. See, that's wrong. I want peace around the world.
In the whole world?
I want peace here in America, because we have a war going on against poverty here in this country. They're making it a crime. We're making a crime for a man to build something that we're building. We're saying, hey, Saddam, you can't have nuclear weapons, but we can. We need to take care of our own backyard first before we go into somebody else's backyard. We need to say, hey, brothers, let's straighten our neighborhood up first, and then go over to somebody else and say, no, if we can straighten our neighborhood up, why can't you?
So clean up our country, then we can work on others.
Right. Clean our president up first, and then
Clean our president up.
And straight on down and say, okay, let's get this country in order, get them to be the shining light, and then step over and say, now we can help you. I've said to President Bush, I voted for him. I love the man, but I don't love his policy on Iraq and killing innocent people. Because when you drop a bomb on one person that's guilty, you kill 5 or 6 other innocents.
We're headed for World War III, dog.
Think so?
Yep.
That was fascinating. Casey Wilms, our producer or our guest in the house tonight. I noticed a lot of interviews and personal opinions. But in the overall scope of the film, would you say it more reflected your views or that of the people that you were interviewing?
It's a pretty even balance. I went there with the idea of making a film that was definitely anti-war and had the power of 250,000 people behind it. So it was definitely a balance between the two.
Now, not to take away from the overall impact of the film, I couldn't help but notice the background music. Could you illuminate that?
Sure. Actually, the background music was a combination of my brother and a performer called the Acid Queen, who's an Italian singer who's on a record contract out and living up in Berkeley. She's an 18-year-old diva, basically, who's going to make it big pretty soon, I think.
Interesting. Do we have any other future projects to look forward to in the near future?
I have a short film that I'll be shooting in about a month or two, and past that, I'm just writing a lot.
Incredible. That's really some interesting stuff. I was enjoying just getting the overall atmosphere and just taking it all in. I really thought that was some great stuff.
Thanks.
I just got to ask you one more time, just for the viewers, what was the inspiration? What was the motivation behind all this? I mean, the global tension, the overall preparation or the anticipation of war, I've got to suggest probably had a lot of impact.
I think more than anything else is the idea that basically when you flip on the news, you're seeing a pretty narrow perspective, and if you didn't have something else to look towards, you'd begin to think that you were a sort of a silent minority. And that's not the case, you know. If you look at the rest of the world is opposed to this war. The United States, half of the people are opposed to this war. It's a powerful minority, and in the world scene, it's a powerful majority. So I think I wanted to be part of that voice that's saying no.
That was great stuff. Casey Williams, it was just a pleasure having you on. And I just want to take this time to thank Casey Williams and Mr. Ian Jeter, and of course Vinny Benedette and Lindsey Green, and everyone else that was here working on the show today. And I invite you to tune in the next time when we will be featuring salsa dancers, Tai Chi, and a lot of exciting stuff coming up in episodes to come. For Menlo Talk, this is Marlyn Johnson.